Alright guys, so we're back again, and this one's called The Power of Love in Intercessory Prayer. And probably this could be the first and only and last video, because the basis of intercessory prayer should always be love. And not love as what the world has displayed love, not love maybe even as pure as we could experience it in this life, until God leads us into actual love. I've mentioned in other videos how about a year or so ago I had this huge breakdown, and I asked the Lord, I said, what happened? Like, how did this happen? It just happened so fast and so sudden, and I wasn't expecting it, and I fell right into the enemy's trap. And he told me, he said, you're spiritually pregnant with twins. And at that time, and early on, and I'm so thankful that I did, and I'm sure it was the Holy Spirit inside of me bearing witness. But I said, if I have double the gift, then I'm going to need double the heart. And God honored that prayer. And as I look back now, I see that He's taken me on this journey through love, and love. And I thought I've always been a loving person. I've always loved people. I've always tried to put other people's needs before my own. And even at the most honorable and purest form that I think that I understood love, the love that He showed me just recently. Is a whole new ballpark. And so we see some of that inside of 1 Corinthians 13, where it talks about love is patient, love is kind, and it goes through the list, long suffering, and we look at that like, oh yeah, I want to be like that when I grow up. And until the Lord really leads you by the hand through what love is, and sometimes gives us a tangible experiential journey to experience that, and to give us a chance to use that love that suffers long. We don't experience that. So there's a lot of verses that I could use, and it was really hard when I was thinking, gosh, there's just so much good stuff to this. And so I might actually do a part 2 to the power of love and intercessory prayer, because I've come to learn the type of love that moves mountains, the type of love that creates miracles in your prayer room. But the one verse that I do want to bring up is 1 Peter 4:8, and it says, above all, love each other deeply, because love covers a multitude of sins. And sometimes I think that I've heard that during my journey as a Christian, and thought, okay, so if I love the person, then I'm going to sweep what they did under the rug, and I'm not going to mention it to other people. But that verse can actually be taken deeper. And there's the golden rule where you do unto others as you want them to do unto yourself, and that we even see that in the where Jesus said, here's the greatest commandment: love the Lord your God with your heart, mind, soul, body, and strength. And then the second is just like that, and it's just as important, and it's just as powerful, and that is to love your neighbor as yourself. And so when we look at intercessory prayer, yes, that is good. Love does cover a multitude of sins in that way. And I recently experienced a situation where I really loved someone and they hurt me. And though there was some things that I could talk about with people, there were other things that, the Lord had really made me kind of swear into Him that I would keep confidential, that He was sharing things with me about this person that I was interceding for that were not to be told to other people. And so, I learned that type of love, that, even when you're being, mocked, you're being beaten, you're being, not that those things happen to me, but we look at Jesus and we see that He went silently, and all the stuff that He endured and everything, and yet He had so much love for His people, and even at the end saying, Lord, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing, no matter what He went through. And we just look at that and we see that wholeness and that fullness and that fruition of this love that suffers long, this love that endures, this love that hopes all things. There's another verse in the Bible that says, he who covers a transgression seeks love. And I want to bring that into to intercessory prayer, and the idea is covering. Okay, the idea is like, hey, you ran into some finances, and you're rich now, because that, metaphorically speaking, that's what happens when you find salvation. And now you want to buy insurance coverage for your friends and family, and so you're going into your prayer closet and you're saying, you know what, Lord, this person doesn't know you, but under my covenant with you. So there you are, you're covering those people. And so if we think about this in the sense of that term of covering, where love covers a multitude of sins, we find a powerful root in our prayer closet. And I remember one time I was talking to the Lord, and I believe that, I don't know, of course, no man knows the hour or the time, but I do believe that we are really, really running fast towards the end times. The Bible talks about it being like a woman in labor, and you can go, oh, my contractions are an hour apart, and you can drop from an hour to 2 minutes like that. And I feel that that's where we're at. The time is starting to speed up. And I was just laying on my bed one day, and I was reflecting to God, like, God, how are you going to do this? If what you're saying is true, and we are getting really, really close, how are you going to do this? And when I was getting ready to drift off, sometimes he speaks to me and during that time, in that really light sleep state, and he says, I'm going to honor the prayers of the moms. And I just thought, wow, that's so powerful, because most moms, there are moms that, maybe lack that natural affection, but most moms love their children. They're able to look past the wrongs that their children are doing and saying, that's not what I love. I love the soul of my child, not their actions. And that's how God sees us, and that's how he loves us too. And so that love is so powerful. That love that can look past the wrongs, that can look past the hurt, that can look past, how many times their kid is like throwing a shoe at them, or, just cussed them out to their face, even after they've just poured out. And that's what God does for us. The Bible says that he reigns and shines on the just and the unjust, and that when we do that too, we have become his children, because that's what our Father does, whether they're righteous or not. He still feeds and waters them daily, and his grace and his love just continues to pour out. I spoke in another video about carrying a false burden versus a real burden, and I'll probably go into that more, because there is a caution with carrying a false burden, and that is you can attract really bad things into your life from that, because of different roots of maybe jealousy or bitterness, or there's just so many things. So we'll go into that in another video, but I want to touch on it real quick and say that the difference between a false burden and a real burden, meaning you're interceding for somebody, is love. If you can say, and God knows the motives of your heart. Sometimes we're not in touch with that. We need to come to a place where we are, and we always are checking our motives. But early on during this process of, my gifts opening up and asking the Lord, teach me about love, that's what he showed me. And it was painful for showing me the motives of my heart. Like daily, during the day, he'd point it out, and he said, you just did that because of this. And I'm like, whoa, I did. And it's so, this is like iniquitous sin that the Bible talks about, that it's ingrained in us. It's so deep. It's our thought pattern. It's those things. And so we're not aware of what we do. Well, we got to ask ourselves when we're interceding for someone, what is my motive for interceding for this person? Do I get something out of it? Or is my foundation and my basis for interceding for this person because I have God's heart for them, and that is, I want them saved, I want them delivered, I want good things for them, or is it because I get something out of it in return? Or let's give an example. Let's say, because I've actually had this happen, and I don't mind being truthful. That's part of what I stand for, because I think that the enemy tries to make us feel like, we're what we're experiencing, no one else has ever experienced. And so I try to be very truthful about the things that I've walked through, because I feel like truth just sets people free, and then they can be like, wow, no, I've been there, I can relate to that. So I'm going to be open and honest and say, there was this point in my life where there was this leader that I really admired and I loved, and there was an area of her life that I felt like, wow, you know what, I could pray for that, because inside of me, I really meant it, in a sense for love, just because I want to see this miracle happen. But there was a small root inside of me that wanted her favor, and so that type of, just that small thread of I'm doing this for the wrong reason can attract demons, can attract those sorts of things, because our motives are known in the spiritual realm. And so that's where I ran into a lot of problems, and it wasn't until the situation had changed that I was like, this is the true test. Do I keep on praying for this area of this person's life, even though I'm not going to get favor from this person anymore? And the answer was yes, absolutely. And so from that, then miracles can start happening. And God said I had to deal with that part first, because you're going about this the wrong way. So we're going to continue this on. I like to make the videos as short as possible. I think 10-11 minutes is a good area. So I'm going to pause this right here, and we'll do a part 2. Okay?